Imagine opening your eyes on your 80th birthday and realizing you are still at the very beginning of your life. Imagine standing on a mountaintop as centuries pass, empires rise, languages fade, technology reshapes everything, and you are still only middle-aged. This is the world we enter today, a world where the human lifespan is 500 years. What happens to society, to memory, to the meaning of life itself? For thousands of years, human life has been limited by biology. In ancient times, reaching 40 was considered fortunate. Today, many reach 80 or 90. The oldest human ever recorded lived to 122. But what if this barrier suddenly changed? What if a breakthrough in genetics, biotechnology, or something far stranger allowed humans to live for 5 full centuries? This is not immortality. This is extended life, finite but vast. Enough time to see the world transform again and again. Enough time to witness the consequences of your own choices shape entire generations. Let's imagine that world. In this alternate reality, every human is born with a lifespan of up to 500 years. Aging slows dramatically. At age 100, you appear 25. At 300, perhaps 60. The body regenerates more efficiently. Diseases take centuries to cause serious damage, and the brain continues developing far longer than it does today. People can still reproduce, but fertility expands over a much wider period of life. Emotionally, socially, and culturally, everything we know will be reshaped. Childhood changes first. Although biologically similar, society begins to treat youth differently. A 30-year-old might still be considered young, still exploring their identity. Education transforms into a lifelong process. Humans return to school multiple times across centuries, learning entirely new fields as the world changes beneath their feet. A classroom filled with students ages 40 to 120 becomes normal. Careers stretch across centuries. People do not retire after a few decades. They reinvent themselves repeatedly. A person might begin their first career at 40, shift to a new field at 110, master another by 200, and spend their 300s teaching what they learned. Retirement becomes a temporary pause, not an end. Human potential expands beyond anything we know today. Imagine a physician with 180 years of experience, a mathematician who has worked for 2 centuries, an inventor who has personally seen the evolution of technology from primitive robotics to full planetary engineering. But longer lives also reshape the mind. With so many years ahead, humans develop new ways to manage memory. Decades blur together. People begin keeping digital or biological memory libraries, storing their experiences to revisit later. Emotional development deepens, but grief becomes heavier. Losing someone at age 200 might scar you for centuries. Relationships evolve too. Friendships last entire eras. Romantic partnerships shift, dissolve, and reform as personalities change over decades. Some marriages last 100 years. Others end peacefully after 60, making room for new chapters. Meanwhile, population becomes a global crisis. With people living for centuries, Earth fills quickly. Governments enforce strict population limits. Families grow smaller. Humanity accelerates its push into space, colonizing Mars, the Moon, and distant habitats. Not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Earth becomes the old world. Space becomes the future. To understand this possibility, we must look at history. Civilizations have risen and fallen in the span of a single human lifetime. Ancient empires lasted for centuries, yet no individual ever witnessed their full arc. But a 500-year human could live through the birth, peak, and collapse of multiple global powers. Scientifically, aging is driven by cellular damage, telomere shortening, and internal biological decay. If humanity found a way to slow or reverse these processes, we would enter a reality unlike anything seen before. Cultures with longer life expectancies naturally develop deeper knowledge traditions and more long-term planning. With 500-year lives, we wouldn't think in election cycles. We would think in centuries. Cities would be built to last 300 years, governments would plan for 40 or 80-year projects, environmental decisions would finally look far ahead into the future. Now, let's walk through how this world might realistically unfold. At first, the change goes unnoticed. The first generation of long-lived humans grows like normal children, but by their 40s, when others begin aging, they remain youthful. By their 80s, they still appear young. Governments take notice. Scientists confirm it. Aging has slowed dramatically. Fear mixes with hope. Economies scramble to adapt. Pension systems collapse. They were never meant for centuries of life. New laws emerge regulating work, reproduction, and long-term policies. Humanity begins to reorganize itself. Generational tension becomes unavoidable. Imagine a 90-year-old who looks 25 competing for the same job as an actual 25-year-old. Older generations refuse to step aside. They feel young. Younger generations feel trapped beneath centuries of experience. Some nations define adulthood differently. In one region, adulthood officially begins at 60. In another, political office requires a minimum age of 100. Age becomes more than a number, it becomes a symbol of wisdom and maturity. Relationships shift next. Marriage lasting centuries becomes rare. People form partnerships that may last 80 years, end amicably, and allow new love to begin. Children live to see their 7th or 8th generation of descendants, while still alive themselves. Family trees stretch across time like forests. As humans grow older, technology accelerates beyond anything imaginable. Imagine a scientist who works on a project for 200 years, a philosopher who writes across 3 centuries, an engineer who helps build everything from early space colonies to massive orbital cities. Knowledge compounds in ways our world has never experienced. Humanity builds megastructures that require 150 years of planning. We colonize planets. We transform barren worlds into living ecosystems. For the first time, humans live long enough to see their own visions realized with their own eyes, but time carries weight. A 400-year-old human carries the memories of 4 eras. They witness wars, revolutions, pandemics, rebirths. Homes vanish, cultures erode, even languages disappear. Longevity brings wisdom, but also sorrow. Trauma lasts longer, loss cuts deeper. Some choose to leave the world not because of physical illness, but because centuries of living become overwhelming. A new science emerges, therapy designed for people who have lived too long, psychology built for minds shaped by time. Yet, gradually, humanity stabilizes. After centuries of adjustment, people learn to use their extended lives effectively. They grow patient, they plan far ahead, they invest decades into personal goals. They reinvent themselves again and again, living life in chapters. Civilization becomes calmer and more thoughtful. Long-term thinking becomes the norm. Humanity evolves, not biologically, but philosophically. In the end, a 500-year lifespan changes more than how long we live. It transforms why we live. Our achievements stretch across centuries. Our failures echo longer. Our decisions shape eras. Time, once scarce, becomes abundant, but meaning must be rediscovered. Would humans become wiser, or would centuries of life erode our sense of urgency? Would we grow more united, or more divided over time? One thing is certain, a 500-year lifespan would not simply extend our existence. It would change the very definition of what it means to be human. And now a question for you: if you had the chance to live for 500 years, would you take it, or is life meaningful because it ends?